Hey, welcome everybody. It is 7 o'clock, and that means it's time for Sci-Fi Distilled. Welcome back, Mary Beth. As
Hello.
usual, hope you had not too much snow. We had
An
some
inch.
awful white stuff. Just yeah, we had about a couple inches, but it's all slushy and gross and yuck. I'm not ready for winter, but here it is.
Neither am I.
Here it is.
It's here. Hi,
So,
Bill, and hi, Martin.
yeah. So we already, so this week I should say we are doing Total Recall from 1990, not the remake, which had really nothing to do with the original. At least it seemed to be only in name.
It may have been
So this is the Arnold Schwarzenegger version.
Yes.
So again, came out in 1990. This was at the peak of Arnold's career. Well, I guess the peak of Arnold's career. He had done so many action movies. He was like the quintessential action movie star of that time. It seemed like he's done so many movies, starting with the Terminator. Did Commando, Predator, T2, I believe, was right around this
Right
era.
in there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the list goes on. And then he eventually did what was the other one where he was the spy with
oh yeah, with Jamie Lee Curtis
and Jamie Lee Curtis. Yeah, what was the
name of that movie? You guys, someone write it in the comments. Love that movie.
It was. Hang on. It was.
She did such a good job in it too.
True Lies.
True Lies. Yes.
Which was a good movie. It's again, this movie does scream again. We've talked about this in the past, but wait, before we start talking, we got news, right?
Yeah, we got news, and we should do our drink. But yeah, we have lots to say about this movie. But let's fly through the news super quickly. Hello, 703. Time for news. Artemis has flown. Congratulations,
to Doc A.
Watching right now,
and NASA, of course. I don't think we're going to see Dr. Alexander tonight.
No, probably not tonight. Probably not for.
Probably very busy still, but the
Artemis
one is on its way to the moon.
Yeah. So, in case you, for some reason, have been under a rock, let me review for you. I don't know. So, liftoff of NASA's $4.1 billion space launch system, the SLS, happened this morning at 1:47.
About 2 in the morning for somewhere around there. Yeah, I did not see it live. Sorry,
I fell asleep. I tried. I had
it was already delayed, and I was like, no, we're not.
I had it on for a while, but I didn't make it. It was carrying the unmanned Orion capsule into lunar orbit. The Orion capsule, or Orion service module, whatever you want to call it, is a technology-packed module responsible for propulsion, navigation, and generation of habitable conditions. Right, being able to live in this thing. They confirmed the spacecraft had successfully deployed its X-shaped solar array, and the first pictures have already come back, which is cool. Now, Orion will take about 6 days to reach the moon. It will make its closest approach to the moon about 60 miles above the surface on next Monday. And then it will come back to Earth on December 11th and splash into the Pacific Ocean, which is really cool. It is carrying 2 mannequins, and this mission is going to pave the way for a flight with a human crew. So humans will be aboard the Artemis 2, which is going to take place in 2024. And that'll be the first mission to take humans back into lunar orbit since the Apollo program. And then when it comes Artemis 3, that's the one. That's 2025. And Artemis 3 will be the one that actually lands on the moon. I, for one, am very curious to see who will get that honor, like which astronauts are up for that. So I'm certain Dr. Alexander is going to be very
busy. Very busy man. Yes. It's interesting because the original Apollo, I think, only took 3 days to get to the moon. I wonder what the difference was. Twice as long now.
I don't know. I really don't. That might
Doc. If Doc pops in, we'll ask him that. So.
If he pops in, but I suspect he's doing his thing. So
yeah, I don't expect to see him. What else do we have for?
What else in the news, guys? People, this was actually really sad. I was genuinely sad about this. Batman fans everywhere devastated. Kevin Conroy has passed at age 66 after a short battle with cancer. Long may the bat signal shine. He was the voice of Batman for since the early 90s, so 30 years.
Yeah, pretty much all the animated stuff, and I believe the video games. He was also it was. If you were a Batman fan, pretty much the last 30 years, he was Batman.
Yes, and that Batman, the animated series, was critically acclaimed. People It was a really good
That
series.
was good. And
It was a good
the Arkham series of video games was
and the
really-
Arkham video games. So just if you're not sure, Kevin Conroy was the Batman to Mark Hamill's Joker.
I would
They
argue
were
yeah.
killing.
Absolutely. Getting Mark props for his Joker. Best Joker ever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would say Kevin and Mark best Batman Joker team up ever.
Yeah, the Arkham series probably is the best superhero video game ever produced. Arkham Asylum and Arkham City.
I had one of those. I had Arkham Asylum.
That was the first one, and it was really they really nailed the fighting part of it, like that whole how they did it and how it worked. It just it was very fluid. It just fit.
Yeah,
so
it was great.
And it was an interesting game because they had detective stuff. Because remember, he's supposed
yes, you had to. Yeah.
So there was stuff that you had to figure out and use his gadgets to follow trails of footprints, and it wasn't just him beating up everybody. So anyway. So that was very sad. Too young.
That is very sad. In other news, in Star Wars news, Star Wars always has news, which is so awesome. But in Star Wars news, if for some reason you have not seen Andor yet, if you don't have Disney Plus or whatever, the first 2 episodes of Andor are going to air over Thanksgiving weekend for free. And you can watch them here, and I'll put this on our Facebook page if you guys need me to, on ABC channel, ABC TV, which here in Massachusetts, channel 5. But anyway, ABC
network.
Well, Wednesday, November 23rd. On FX, it's Thursday, November 24th. On Freeform, which I'm not familiar with Freeform, that's okay, Friday, November 25th. And on Hulu, it'll just be available from November 23rd through December 7th. They're just going to make these first 2 episodes just out there for anyone to watch. And if you've not seen it, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's much grittier than your average Star Wars.
Grown-up adult Star Wars.
Yeah, they pull in some of our favorite characters. We see younger Saul Guerrero, still played by
right.
You know who I'm talking about.
Last King of Scotland. Sorry, what?
Not Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence
why I always get him mixed up with this? Not him. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about. So we're seeing some characters. Mon Mothma, of course, is a key character in this story.
Not Forrest. Sorry.
Forrest Whitaker.
Is it Forrest? No, not Forrest.
No. Anyway, somebody will pop up and say. Anyway, doesn't matter, but it's good. If you haven't seen it, see, Sue's saying Forrest Whitaker.
Is it Forrest?
I think it's
I'm
Forrest.
looking it up because now it's bugging me.
We have all our information. We're just like, come here first.
Yeah, Forrest. All right. Anyway,
you come here so that we can ask you what we don't know.
That's the beauty of this show. It is a group effort, this show, which I kind of love that. But right now I have an Andor spoiler. Are you ready? This is a spoiler. Once again, Andor spoiler warning, Andor spoiler. Put your fingers in your ears.
I'm caught up. So
fans have been debating over what happened to Andy Serkis's character Kino Loy. Spoiler. Toby Hayes, episode's director, has dropped us a huge hint. He says, and I quote, this is Toby talking now, "I think it's open there with what happens to his storyline. He certainly wasn't killed, so we know that much." In other Star Wars news, I'm so psyched. I love the character. In other Star Wars news, a collab with Studio Ghibli. You guys know it's Totoro and Kiki's Delivery Service and all that good stuff is now available. The famed Japanese studio has made a Star Wars short featuring Baby Grogu, and it debuted November 12th. Ghibli tweeted a photo of Grogu with the legendary director and Studio Ghibli co-founder Hayao Miyazaki, and they had Grogu in the front and Hayao just out of focus in the background to mark the occasion. And finally, in Star Wars news, Giancarlo Esposito, who I love and adore, reveals, okay, here we go. Possible spoiler. I'm sorry, I'm loaded with spoilers on Star Wars tonight. Possible spoiler. Put your fingers in your ears. Here we go. Giancarlo revealed a possible Mando Season 3 Fascinating tidbit and possible spoiler. He says, and I quote, this is Giancarlo speaking now, Moff Gideon would really like to be a Mandalorian, and there's a reason for it.
He did have the dark saber.
He did have but he destroyed Mandalore when he wielded the dark saber, didn't he?
No, I don't think that was him. No, he got it from. He got it
He
from,
got it from Katie Sackhoff, right? No,
he got it from Bo-Katan. Yeah, that's Katie Sackhoff.
Did he get it from Katie Sackhoff?
Yeah, somehow she lost it to him, but she shouldn't have, because you're only way you're supposed to get it if you like kill the other person. You can't give it.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, that was a
win it in
little
battle.
bit yada
You have to win it in battle. So I don't know. No, the Empire is from I think from Rebels, or was it from the other show? They pretty much, the Empire glassed Mandalore.
Yeah, you know
the
what,
Empire
guys?
blew the crap out of it.
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't one
Guys,
person.
I'm
It was
sorry.
the Empire in general.
I get it's all one. It's like this in my head.
Yeah, it's getting very convoluted.
It is getting very convoluted.
Well, yeah,
which is, I don't object. I really don't object. I really enjoyed most
no,
of it.
it's good stuff. It's
I
good,
cannot for this moment
and
think
again,
of where Moff Gideon.
Again, no matter where you go, or no matter where Andor takes us, what is the one thing that it's still Star Wars? It still feels like Star Wars. Thank you. Hello, Paramount, you listening? No,
Agree. All right, a few other tidbits of news. Moving on. The Sci-Fi Gazette reports HBO Max is mulling over a Harry Potter series. Nothing is definite yet, but since Fantastic Beasts tanked, they want to figure out how else they can milk their cash cow. But
yeah,
okay,
I don't know. I guess somebody I think clever enough could come up with good writing for that.
Maybe it's a prequel
for that universe, and make it. They need what you need is another. I think what made Harry Potter, aside from that J.K. Rowling wrote very well, that you had this one bad baddie through the whole thing.
That's true.
You had this theme, and then when it's like when the baddies are done,
every book had the same focus. That's
and I think you need to kind of recreate that to some degree rather than just try to have random stories.
We talked about that when we were talking about the three, like the Star Wars stuff, the three sequels. We didn't like them, but at least they all had the same focus. The three prequels, they were just everywhere. They're like,
they were trying to lead you to A New Hope. And
I guess. Yeah, maybe it was the prequels that all had the same focus, and then the sequels that were scattered. I remember discussing that when we were
just trying to like rehash what we already saw. That's the problem with that. We're not talking about that anyway.
Moving on. The last of the news, because we need to move on to our drinking stuff. The last of the news. Margot Robbie says no female Pirates of the Caribbean spinoff. I didn't even know she was going to do one. So okay, it's dead in the water at Disney. Okay, that's fine. Kong versus Godzilla 2 wrapped. Okay, great.
There was a one.
Huh?
I missed that there was a one.
Yeah, remember Kong? You didn't see Kong versus Godzilla versus Kong, whatever the heck it was. Whatever. They've been shooting in Australia for a while, and all their wrap gifts. I guess you give gifts when you wrap on a movie. All right.
Sometimes, yeah, they'll usually give crew stuff. Yeah.
And I guess the wrap gifts have the title, and the title is Godzilla and Kong, which suggests the two monsters are now allies. And instead of fighting each other, they're going to fight together, something else. There's a little blurb that the movie has released. Let me actually read what they think they're going to do. They think the sequel pits the almighty Kong and the fearsome Godzilla against a colossal, undiscovered threat hidden within our world, challenging their very existence and ours. This is set to release March 15th, 2024. And finally tonight, they're kicking around an I Am Legend 2. Do we need an I Am Legend 2? They're kicking it around with Michael B. Jordan and Will Smith, which I like Michael B. Jordan. I really do like
the original was basically Omega Man remade.
Yeah, it is. It is. Which just do Omega.
Didn't they kind of wrap up the story because he found the cure?
I have no idea. But here's the thing. You know who's working on this is Akiva Goldsman, and you guys know Akiva. He's the co-creator of Star Trek Picard and Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So what's he going to do with it? I don't know.
We shall see.
We shall see. And
I
that's
put no
all
faith in anything anymore.
Me
'Cause
neither.
I've been disappointed
Me
and
neither.
hurt.
That's all
They've
the news
left
I
me at
have
the
tonight.
altar too many times.
What do we have for a drink? We might need one after all that.
What we have for a drink? Let's get the drink up. There it is. It's called, why not, the Total Recall. We got Patron tequila, Bacardi, Southern Comfort, cranberry juice, orange juice, and lime juice all mixed together. That actually might be good. I'm not a big tequila fan though, but might not be bad.
Might be all right. Is it pink like that picture? No.
Yeah, that's the drink.
cranberry. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you get cranberry in there. Yeah, that's what you get in there, pinkish.
Dave
So anyway,
Lafredo
good.
has joined us tonight. Hi, Dave. Thanks for watching on YouTube.
Hey
Great
Dave,
to
how
see
are
you,
you?
man. Haven't
No, we're
seen
not
you
doing
in a
we're
while.
not doing Thailander 2. Sorry, Dave.
Sometime, at some point. At some point.
He sent me some stuff. He sent me some promotional material in case we ever do it. Okay.
He is so ready for this. He is so onto it.
I was like, you got to be kidding me. But anyway, maybe you never know. All right, moving on. Of course, you guys do know that this weekend is Bill Shatner up at the tour. So
yes, Bill Shatner weekend.
So we will see you there if you're going to go. If not,
so if I'm a little brain dead tonight, I apologize in advance. That's why.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on. Anyway, all right. So Total Recall again. We're talking about Arnold. This, of course, is a very quintessential Arnold film. It is very late 80s, 90s movie. It was a blockbuster at the time. I don't know. You probably have the numbers.
I can tell you exactly.
I would say it was pretty much a hit.
It was $48 million to make this. Where'd it go? $48 million to make this thing. It grossed 261, which does in fact make it an official hit, if not actual blockbuster.
I remember seeing it. So I was in the theater. I have a very vivid recollection of seeing it in the theater the first night because I burnt the snot out of my arm right before we went to the movie on a soldering iron. Probably
really?
scar. Yeah, it was just something I did stupid. I put it in a vise to hold it while I was soldering, and it spun around so the point was up. Didn't realize it. Went to turn the light off and wrecked my arm over. It hurt. Oh my god! It felt like somebody took a jagged piece of metal and ripped it through my arm.
I believe you soldering irons are.
So I was in pain for most of this movie, or pretty much all of it. So I do remember that that one movie, this movie. But I've seen it many times since. It was very entertaining. Does it hold up to today?
Okay, I have an opinion. I don't know.
The effects do not hold up, in my opiniin.
You know what, though? In a way, they kind of do.
There's a lot of. Well, it depends on certain ones, but like they
did a beautiful job with the miniatures. This was one of the last.
The stuff on Mars was good.
They used a lot of rear projection and a lot of projection. This was one of the last movies ever made to use rear projection. And the two scenes that I can name where there's projection, one was them in that train, and it pulls out of the window of the train, and you just see the train. That was a little tiny screen. They said it was about this big on the side of the model of the train, and they projected in the train the shot of Arnold standing there doing whatever. And so you could see it, and then the model rolled, and they filmed it as it rolled, which is awesome. And the other shot was the very, very end after they got the air back, the mutants step out this big window type thing onto the side of the cliff, and that was a projection. It was one of the last movies to use it, and it also had some of the first ever like mocap, which failed them. The mocap thing failed them. They had it animated.
Those effects I think worked okay and still kind of hold up. What I was talking about are the ones with, like, when they're outside and their eyeballs are popping out, or when he jams the thing up his nose, and
that was horrible.
Clearly a fake.
And the weird thing is, I was okay with Quatu. Like that puppet, that took 15 people.
That one was okay.
That one was fine, but for some reason, the very eye-bugging thing. Okay, for some reason, this is a great sci-fi movie. It is based on a nice piece by Philip K. Dick called "We Can Remember It For You Wholesale." It's good science fiction, and for some reason, I saw it. I was to me, that was so grotesque at the end that in my mind, for like all through the 90s and like right up till now, I had to rewatch. That was just the movie with the eyes bugging out. Like I don't remember any of the science fiction. And when I went back and rewatched it and did the research for this episode, I was like, oh my God, there's so much more going on in this movie than just eyes bugging out.
There's a lot going on. So there's
like social commentary and corporate, like
all kinds of corporate greed,
and all that.
and
that was all lost on me because all I saw was eyes
all
bugging
you
out.
saw
I'm
was
gone.
the
I
eyes
was like,
bugging
I'm
out.
out. I'm done. I don't need this. Goodbye.
Yeah, I think some of that stuff was done a little too gratuitous just for shock value, I think.
This is
Certainly
very violent.
there were
It
people
was going.
in
It's so violent,
vacuum.
guys. It was gonna be rated X, and they had to take stuff out to get it down to
Yeah,
R.
there's a lot of people getting shot and a lot of people and blood as a result of them being shot.
There's a guy. The worst scene I think is actually on the elevator, the escalator. He uses a random guy as a human shield
Yeah.
without any like.
Well, again, it's kind of like what I was talking about in one of our earlier episodes, where it's like we've become desensitized. This is 32 years ago. This
And
film,
you didn't even think about it. You're like, oh yeah, okay.
and we were like, wow, oh my god, look at this, look at that. And now today we would like, that's nothing.
And then I was watching an analysis of that scene.
See that on television. That's not even
exactly. I was watching an analysis of that scene, and they were like, imagine if it had been a black person that he just grabbed and used. Imagine if it had been a woman that he grabbed and used. Like they really started making you think about, oh, that, yeah, now, okay, yeah. Things have changed. Things have changed. But and someone else also argued that that's part of the implant. Like it's been implanted into his mind that he's this great hero. So it means nothing to him. Like it just,
Well, I mean, that's the part of the movie that we don't know if you don't really know if what is it really just all in his head because he went to the recall thing, or is he really, or this is real?
We'll kind of go through
you know what I'm saying? They kind of give you this.
And I want to hear what everyone out there watching thinks. Dave Alfredo saying that's Paul Verhoeven style. Yeah, Paul Verhoeven was with the violence. Yeah, but I want to hear. We'll go through all the yeses and nos, and I want to hear what you guys think. What was it real, or was it all the implanted memory? And I know what Paul Verhoeven thinks, so I'll let you guys know about that at the end. So much going on in this movie.
The only reason, one of the triggers to me that makes you think that it is all in his head was as he's at recall and he's getting this thing implanted in his head, is one of the last things the guy says before he loses, freaks out, is, hey, blue sky on Mars, that's a new one.
Oh yeah. Not just that, but they say everything that he says.
Pretty much everything that happened, but that one little trigger.
Yeah. At the halfway point, when Dr. Ermengarde, or whatever his name is, comes with the pill and Sharon Stone in the pill, the red pill, which we've seen in another movie where the red pill will take you out of a fake reality. But anyway, he then says, this is what's going to happen. And then you're going to be lobotomized. You're going to be like you're going to be the savior of the rebel cause. You're going to be the bad guy's best friend. You're going to whatever. And then you'll be lobotomized. And sure enough, that's exactly how the rest of the movie
even like, like he said, he's like, oh, look, and the girl,
Yeah.
What did she say? Something slutty and demure or something
like that. Sleazy and demure. What a combination.
Sleazy and demure. Yeah, that is kind of an odd combination.
So they've been trying to make this thing since like 1976. Like I said, it's from a book. We can remember it for you wholesale. They've been trying to make it since 1976. At some point in the early 80s, De Laurentiis got a hold of it, and he wanted to do it with David Cronenberg. David Cronenberg tweaked the script, and he added the mutants, which was cool. He did a good job doing that. But he wanted this more like serious Blade Runner type film, and De Laurentiis just wanted this action adventure, whatever film. So they never got it. And then finally, I don't know how it came to pass, but Arnold got a hold of it. He thought it was great, and he's like, "Yeah, we're doing it." And then he called Paul Verhoeven. You want to do it? Yeah, you want to do it? Okay, and they did it.
Yeah, actually, it was going to be Patrick Swayze on the deal.
It was going to be Patrick Swayze. And the other really weird, here's something really, really, really weird.
Yeah, maybe would have worked. I don't know.
Yeah.
No. Depends on, De Laurentiis' version was going to be a lot different. The book and the original script, he wasn't a construction worker. He was just an office worker. But it was actually Arnold who's like, I'm not believable as an office worker. Can you make me a construction worker? That makes so much more sense. And that actually, you know what? That actually was smart. But here's the really weird thing, you guys. Absolutely bizarre. Philip K. Dick also wrote Minority Report. So they got hold of Minority Report, and they were going to make Total Recall 2, The Minority Report, where Arnold was basically in the Tom Cruise role, and the mutants on Mars, because remember all the mutants were psychic? The mutants were the precogs. And
thank goodness that didn't fail. Thank goodness that did fail. This is one occasion when I'm like, yeah, you know what? The Tom Cruise one was probably better.
Yeah, that was an interesting film in its own right.
We'll do, you know what? If you guys want us to, we'll do some Tom Cruise sci-fi some night. We'll look out because I just rewatched. You know what? I just rewatched Oblivion, and that was really, it was good. It was
that wasn't bad.
It's okay.
That was all right. Yeah, that was pretty good. You kind of started to see what was coming earlier in the film. Like it didn't. It was trying to be more Planet of the Apes reveal at the end, sort of, but towards the end, but not quite that much. But to me, it was like, okay, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
So maybe it wasn't, and I just thought it was supposed to be that way. But anyway, so that Oblivion wasn't because Tom Cruise has done a lot of sci-fi movies. You don't really, when you start kind of ticking them off, you're like,
but you were just saying, yeah. But anyway, back to our movie. You were just saying Patrick Swayze. The other kind of interesting thing was, they offered the Richter role. They offered the Richter role to Kurtwood Smith, which would have been interesting. That would have been the exact same team up of Ronnie Cox as the boss, bad guy boss, and Kurtwood Smith as the bad guy minion from RoboCop. Yeah, because it was Paul Verhoeven. Paul Verhoeven just pulled his exact same team from RoboCop. He's like, "All right, guys, come on back. We're making another movie." And they're like, "Woo!"
Kurtwood would have worked.
Kurtwood would have been great.
I mean, I think Michael Ironside was good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, but I think Kurtwood would have worked too.
They both work the same way. Yeah. They both have that same vibe. But you know what? Honestly, I'm more scared of Michael Ironside. Like,
he's definitely a scarier. Well, I think they would have played.
Remember him in V? Do you guys remember him in V?
The thing is, I think
we need to do V some night. Oh. You remember her eating?
I have to rewatch it.
Remember her eating the guinea pig or the hamster, whatever it was, and she's like,
they ate because they were
Diana, and she had hair like mine. She had wild hair, and they put sparkles in it.
Yeah, it was a cool TV show for its day, but I haven't seen
the original one. Mark Singer and the guy that played Freddy, the guy that plays Freddy, who played Robert Englund.
Robert Englund.
Anyway, back to Total Recall.
Yeah,
Michael Ironside scares me.
Well, he's good. He's good, and just we were talking about last week. We were talking about Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
So
I think Dave wants us Tom Cruise sci-fi night because he's quoting Edge of Tomorrow.
I have to watch. I've never seen it.
Wait, Dave, is Michael Ironside in Highlander too? That may have
just saying Michael Ironside Highlander 2. Well, he's really on the full court press for that movie.
He's pushing hard for that.
I don't know.
All right, so let's look at our amazing cast. Obviously, we had Arnold.
Arnold. I mean, this is one of his big, because he was like the king of the quote.
Yes.
And he didn't have a catchphrase really in this one.
Get your ass to Mars.
Get your ass to Mars.
No, he just had a couple of stupid lines, like how dare you? Something about show your face around here, and he's like, look who's talking. You should talk, or look who's talking.
Yeah.
Just a couple of weird things. A weird moment. Do you remember when the guy he makes it? He has the wet towel around his head.
Yeah. It's like a turban.
And the guy's like, "Come out and get the suitcase. I'm going to leave the suitcase out here for you. Come out and get it." And some old woman grabs it first.
Right.
And he
screw you,
asshole. Over that. Yeah. And then he takes it and does this weird little
he's like when she calls him and he's like, "Screw you, asshole." And then he kind of does this yep.
That was so weird.
It was some strange, I mean, then you get the whole Johnny Cab thing. Who would get in a Johnny Cab?
Johnny
Cab were freaky. Welcome to Johnny Cab. It was like some kind of weird.
Okay, here's another thing. All right, guys, what do you think? When he doesn't pay the Johnny Cab, did the Johnny Cab deliberately try to run him down, or did it just malfunction?
No, because he remember didn't he rip the thing out? And he was driving.
Yeah, he ripped it. Johnny.
So it was damaged. So I don't know if I think it just.
It seems like it
slipped out. I don't know if it did it on purpose.
Put him down. I think it was broken. I think it was just broken. God. Anyway,
but I'm like, why did the Johnny Cab have these weird ticks and things? Why didn't it just talk?
Why did the Johnny Cab have a weird? Why was he wearing a disguise that was an animatronic face over his own face when he could have just talked himself? He didn't need an animatronic face, and was also a bomb. Why would you wear a disguise that's actually a bomb?
Oh, you're talking about when he went to Mars. I thought we were still talking about Johnny Cash.
No, I moved on. Well, you just
Oh
said
well,
why would
yeah,
you have that? I'm
2
like,
weeks.
what do you mean?
Yeah,
Why
there
would
was
you have that?
the big woman there that does the 2 weeks there.
Yeah. 2
Well, I
weeks.
guess that was his backup plan in case he needed. Yeah, just I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question because that's what the writers wrote in there.
Martin's he was in Sequest. You mean Michael Ironside was in Sequest? Yeah, he was in Sequest.
Rob Ricardo was the voice of the
Yeah, it was Robert Ricardo. I
of
have
Johnny
a
Depp. Yeah, you can see
lot.
that. Yeah,
You
he
guys,
did a lot of voiceover work back
half
then.
of Star Trek was in this movie. I have a ton of roads
Yeah,
tonight.
he
and we
but
will talk about it.
Robert Ricardo did a lot of voiceover work back then. He was also, if you remember, there was a film that came out in the late '80s called Explorers, with I think it had Ethan Hawke. I think was in it maybe. And these kids they build a spaceship out of an old Carnival Tilt-A-Whirl ride, and they go to this and meet this alien on a spaceship, and it turns out he's the alien, but it turns out he's a kid too. And then the big father shows up, who's like giant. It was a
I
cute
don't
movie
remember that at all.
called Explorers, and I think it had. I want to say, yeah, it had. I think it was Ethan Hawke, and I want to say it might have been the kid that died.
Oh, Phoenix.
Yeah.
River
River
Phoenix.
Phoenix. It might have River Phoenix in
Oh,
it too.
maybe.
Anyway, it was a cute movie. It was funny, and actually, Rob Picardo's character is what really made it because he was.
He's great. I love Robert. He's great in
This
everything he
kind of
does.
bizarre-looking alien with eyes
Yeah.
that were up here, on stalks.
I vaguely remember that he did play another. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill's remembering the line "Consider this a divorce." That was probably a good line. But anyway, all right, back to our
Consider
cast.
this a divorce.
Woo.
This was also a Sharon Stone, one of her
Was
big
this your
films.
first one?
This is the film, not her film, but it was the film that got her.
Oh yeah, it was the film that
got
got
her
her.
was it Basic Instinct?
Basic Instinct,
Basic
yeah. She, you know, guys, she worked hard on this film. They named her an honorary stunt woman. She worked really hard. Did a lot of her own fights and a lot of her own. Her and Rachel both, because Paul Verhoeven was like, I don't like girly fights, and I don't like when they put the stunt woman in, and you can tell it's not the girl, like not your actress. He's like, I want my actresses to do the actual fight, and so they did. She says she went home black and blue like all the time, and she said like she'd go to hit Arnold, and she said it was like hitting a stone wall. Like he just was, completely solid.
But she did really buff up for this quite a bit.
She did. She ended up was so buff that she actually posed nude for Playboy.
She's a Playboy, yeah. She's a Playboy, yeah. She looks good. So
good job, Sharon. So I liked her. She did a good job with the character.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it was that kind of she went from sweet to mean, evil.
Yeah,
quickly, and I think that's what got her the role for Basic Instinct. They saw her doing that, and they're like, okay, she can really flip this on and off.
Yeah.
And so that's how she got that role. Of course, we all know that was a very popular film.
Yes.
So Michael Ironside, we talked about, he's certainly a workhorse, especially in that era, 80s and 90s, early 2000s of characters. God, he was in Top Gun.
He was, yeah. Oh, he was
Starship Troopers. Keep naming them. Where's the one?
He was everywhere.
He was in the one with Adventures in the Forbidden Zone there. With the redhead from Breakfast Club. I'm like
Molly Ringwald. That's okay. It's all good.
I'm completely loathing it.
He was in Top Gun. He's either Viper or Jester. I get those two. Him and Tom Skerritt. I get those two mixed up. But I just finally saw Maverick. He totally should have been in Maverick.
I don't think his health is. He lost his voice.
Val Kilmer was in Maverick.
That's true. He's in bad shape too. That's true. I don't know,
man. Anyway, moving on. Rachel, what's her last name? Rachel Ticotin. She was our Melina. She was our Martian freedom fighter. I got to tell you guys, I don't know what else she's done. She's one of those kind of came onto the scene, did a bunch of stuff, and then
she's been doing stuff right up to 2020.
Yeah, her IMDb is full, but
I think you probably you don't even recognize her. She's in Gargoyle.
Yeah, maybe.
She's voiceover.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think you just you don't realize that it's her.
Yeah, maybe. Marshall Bell as George slash Quato. He also played Quato's voice. He did a great job with that role. Like I said, as I said at the top of the show, that puppet was so realistic. It took 15 people to move it, and it was so realistic that people were actually asking, "Did you find someone with a with a twin, like with a Siamese twin?" Like they actually thought it might be real. Michael Champion, the blonde, is Richter's right hand guy, the blonde with the glasses. Michael Champion had the line of the movie. Richter's mad because Sharon Stone, his wife's been, playing like she's married with Schwarzenegger, and he's complaining about it. And the line of the movie, Michael Champion's like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure she hated every minute of it."
Yeah. Just sticking it to him.
Just sticking it to him.
Yeah.
That was like so funny. Mel Johnson Jr. as Benny, our Martian.
I got 5 kids to feed.
I
thought it was
Roy Brocksmith as Dr. Edgemar, and Rosemary Dunmore as Rosemary. Yeah, Rosemary Dunmore. Oh, she was the doctor at Recall.
She was the one. I haven't even implanted it yet. When she says yeah.
And we did mention. So I guess since we're doing it, let me just do all roads first road.
We didn't even mention our favorite, who we just had on our show, Lucia Naff, as the 3-breasted hooker.
That's our 3-breasted hooker. She looked great.
And what's the one thing that most people ask her?
Are they real?
Were those your real breasts?
Just the middle one.
Just the middle one is the answer. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I was doing, hang on, because we had Licia on. Maybe you remember our conversation with her. When I was doing the research for this movie, everyone was like, the actress who played the 3-breasted hooker felt really exposed and violated, having to show her 3 breasts all the time. And I was like, that wasn't the vibe I got from her.
That's not the vibe I got from her. In fact, well, I guess what she had said, if I'm recalling correctly, is a little pun there. Is that the director had seen her and wanted her to do this, and had brought her down to Mexico where they filmed this, and was going to make her in her next. They said, "You do this one,
and you'll be."
Didn't want to do it, I think, because she got tired of playing always prostitute, drug addict. And like she said, in that time, anybody of any kind of color, and she's not dark or any, she's very light skin for
Melina are like almost the same, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, she's even lighter than Melina. She's Middle Eastern, Lebanese, I think she said. So, but she said, they never cast you in anything except a hooker, a drug addict, drug dealer kind of thing. So she was getting, but this guy, I think the guy alluded that, I'm going to give you a part in my next movie, blah blah blah. It sounded like maybe it was bullshit, but she got the 3-breasted hooker role.
She got the 3-breasted hooker role.
She only had like 2 lines though. It wasn't exactly.
She got to interact with both Arnold and Michael Ironside, which is pretty.
A little bit, yeah. She had her stuff. So it's great.
Right.
But anyway,
all roads. Let's do the roads because there are 1 million
roads.
All right, she is a road. Are you ready? Ronnie Cox, Jellicoe, of course.
Right.
Of course. Robert Picardo played Johnny Cab. Welcome to Johnny Cab. Of course, he is the doctor. And Licia, we just talked about. Oh, that character has a name. Her name is Mary.
Yeah, Mary.
I just called in my
Mary.
notes.
It's like that's
in my notes, I wrote Mary 3 Tits. Her name is Mary 3 Tits.
It always reminded me, like from Men in Black, when he introduced the 2 tentacle things that are controlling the whole facility.
Oh yeah, Bob.
Bob.
Michael Champion, who I just mentioned, the character in Recall is Helm, had the line of the movie. Again, he played in Next Gen on an episode called Captain's Holiday. He played Baratus, and that's it. That's all he did. Mark Alimo, yes, Mark Alimo, Gul Dukat. He played a character named Everett. Who is this? Where's Everett? I do not. I've looked.
He was the chief of security on Mars. So he meets Michael Ironside and Michael Champion, like at the entrance when they first land on Mars. The whole part where the thing is 2 weeks. He's like the chief of security. Yes. He's like their head security guy, yeah. And he meets with them, and that's really, he only has that and maybe one other scene. It's not a lot.
Interesting. Okay, good for you, Mark Lama. All right, Golden Cat. All right, supposedly Elizabeth Dennehy in an uncredited role. It says Renata. I have no idea. No idea. Okay, more. So here's some that are more obvious. Robert Costanzo, Harry. Harry was the friend at the construction who was like, "No, don't go
Right,
there."
right, right, right.
He played a character named
Yeah,
Slade.
recall.
Yeah, so, recall. He played a character named Slade Bender in an episode called Manhunt of Next Gen. I have no memory of that, but okay. Roy Brocksmith, who played Dr. Edgemar, he's had 2 goes. He played in Next Gen a character called Sirna Kalrami in an episode called Peak Performance.
Yep, it's when Data has to play him this game. I forgot the name of the game, but they play this kind of like.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They play this game where they get shocked or something if
that's right
they lose or think if I remember something wrong.
And
but
then
it was like
a
Stratagenum. That was the name of the game.
Stratagem or something.
Stratagenum.
Yeah. And then on Deep Space Nine, he played a character called Vaska or Raska. I can't see what I wrote. Karn in an episode called Indiscretion. And not to be outdone, Mel Johnson Jr., Benny the cabbie with 5 kids to feed. He had a couple of turns. He got 2 episodes of Deep Space Nine, playing a character named Braca. In the 2 episodes are What You Leave Behind and The Dogs of War. We also have, of course, Jerry Goldsmith, who was the composer. That goes without saying.
And he thinks
Alexander Courage on that.
And speaking of Jerry Goldsmith,
yeah,
he feels that this was one of his best scores.
It is a good score.
It does have a very good score.
Although I was praising the score last week or a couple of weeks ago, and you were telling me, nope, this doesn't outdo.
You were saying it was better than Indiana Jones.
What was the movie?
I don't remember, but it wasn't better than Indiana.
All right. And then finally, just a couple of background players: Ken Gilden, Eric Cord, Frank Kopich, Milt Tarver, and Kamala Lopez Dawson all have had turns as they were in the background of this movie, and they were all had turns as various things, aliens and or crew members, plus a ton of visual effects. As usual, every week I fail to mention the gazillions of visual effects, special effects, writers, producers, all those behind the scenes people who more often than not, are roads that link back to Star Trek. So tons of roads.
Thank you. Dennis noticed my shadow hat. Thank you, Dennis. Dennis Chevalier. And I'm waiting, should be here hopefully in the next few weeks, my UFO technical manual.
Oh, you got the UFO tech manual.
I got the special edition version because
excellent.
And this is, hang on, I just got this. It took forever.
Oh, it's show and tell. It's show and tell time, guys.
No, this is I got the this is the program and the Blu-ray DVD.
Oh, nice.
This is it was the concert Stand By for Action. Let me go. Ugh. This was a concert in the UK of all done orchestrally by of all the Jerry Anderson theme songs.
Oh, nice.
So I got that. So if we can find a Blu-ray, we'll watch it this weekend. We can find a Blu-ray. Maybe James will let us watch on the bridge. Not.
No.
Not.
If it's not Star Trek, it's not going on the bridge. Yeah, the movie was Martin says the movie was The Mummy. Yeah, and Paul Arkowski says The Mummy. Yeah, I thought for some reason the Mummy soundtrack was better.
It was good. I'm not saying it was bad. You said it was better than Indiana Jones.
Hi, Phil. When did you come wandering in? Hello.
Blu-ray in PAL format. No, it's not in PAL format, you putz.
Phil, I told Rizzo you sent him a hug. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know why you're hugging me, but okay, thanks. Does he know I'm not a hugger? Not a hugger.
Yeah, no. Rizzo's not a hugger. Don't touch Rizzo.
Unless you got big breasts, which I guess you do, Phil, but you're not a woman, so.
Don't be mean.
Okay, now I gotta put the adult warning on this.
Now we can put the adult warning on here. Come on.
Sorry, Phil.
All right. Hang on, I'm actually just copying music. All right. Hang on. I had something in my notes that I wanted to talk about now. Oh, so let's talk about it. Was this real, or Was this all implanted in his mind? What do you guys think, and what evidence? I mean, there's so many little things.
I think
And
the
you know
whole
what?
point was they left it ambiguous. You could go either
They
way.
deliberately
I
left
mean,
it
they left a
ambiguous,
lot of clues that could go
but
either
they left
way.
clues. Here's a clue. When he runs through that X-ray machine, this is that X-ray where you see the skeletons, the security thing. That's what the MOPAC, the motion capture mocap failed to capture. Like, it didn't work right, and they had to animate that. So it was one of the it's like fledgling CGI, I guess. Those guys, the guys that worked on those skeleton scenes, they worked so hard. They actually they couldn't get it finished, or they couldn't. There was something, they ran out of money or something.
Yeah,
they actually
they
wanted to
couldn't
give their own money to get it done and get it done
they
right.
couldn't get the motion capture thing to
The
work
other,
right. So
the motion capture
ended up
thing,
doing animation. They didn't end up animating it, which was
The
pretty
other-
obvious.
The other really bizarre thing, remember a guy walks through with a dog? I thought this was bizarre, but this is just this is what we're here for, to tell you the little bizarre side notes. The one take of them all walking through that the director really, really liked, the dog stopped to go potty right in the middle of the thing. And they were like, for a hot second, they thought about leaving it in, because all you see is the skeleton, but you could kind of figure out what the dog was doing. And they're like, oh, that might be distracting. We need to establish, what this thing is. But anyway, that X-ray security skeleton thing was a clue, because when he goes through it the second time, he has the gun, and he knows he has the gun. But ostensibly, actually, the first time he goes through, both times, ostensibly, he would have also had that implant in his nose. It should have showed up on that X-ray.
I suppose.
But if he doesn't know he has it, then his imagination can't conjure it up onto the security screen. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
What do you guys think? Is that a clue, or is that simply a...
I don't know. I don't know if that's a clue or not. I mean, there's a lot of little things, but so what does the director say it is? You said you knew what he.
Do we want to let our audience guess, or do we just want to?
They can guess. I mean, I think I don't think there's a right answer. Quite frankly, I don't think there is. The director says it's one way or the other. I guess that's the right answer, but
yeah, I guess the director said it was all an implanted memory. He says
he really was.
Everything up to when he gets to the recall office and starts the process is real, is reality. And then when he wakes up struggling and saying, "You're blowing my cover," and they say, "No, it's a something embolism." I can't remember, something embolism. That's when the fantasy starts.
They were saying, because I mean, you're right. That's when it supposedly is supposed to start. You're right.
Yeah.
So
Dennis Hodgson YouTube. Just go on YouTube and search in the search YouTube Sci-Fi Distilled, and it'll come up.
The only other
notifications that helps.
The only thing I was going to say that they could have done if they really wanted to say, yeah, it was all in his head, was you see him in a hospital, as a vegetable kind of thing, at the end, like,
you know what,
with what's her name next to him, with Sharon Stone next to him, kind of being.
People point to it fading to white at the end, not fading to black, or not, you know what I mean? It fades to white. People point to that as meaning he got lobotomized, and that's him, like, Dave Lafredo says my idea with the thing in his nose is continuity error.
Yeah, I see that.
Bill says the gun's external, the implant is internal. Yeah, we don't know how that X-ray thing worked, really. So, yeah, Dave Lafredo. Of course, the director says that. Directors are jerks. Look at Ridley Scott. Of course, Decker's a replicant.
Yeah, that pissed off a lot of people.
No, Martin, the construction worker was probably real.
Yeah, he was really his real friend, but I think he created the you know what I'm saying, that was a character that if in fact this it is an implant, the whole thing, he's just incorporating things from his real life into his fantasy.
Yeah.
So,
but
so the moral of this story is, don't let anybody mess with your brain.
No.
I mean, honestly, I don't think if this was like a real thing, I don't think, why would you, I don't know. It's just, you just have the memory of your vacation and not actually experience it. But I guess you feel like you experienced it.
I feel like you went there and experienced it.
I don't know. When you think back about something you did, you don't like remember that much detail, right? I mean, you kind of know what you did, but
And feelings like if you went skiing, you may remember cold. You were freezing the whole time.
yeah, but I mean, like if you go to someplace spectacularly, say you go to the Grand Canyon, okay, and
Yeah.
you're standing there and you're looking at the Grand Canyon, there's a certain emotion, there's a feeling while you're doing that. A month later, when you think back, I don't think that memory doesn't create that impact in you. It's just a memory you remember seeing. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong.
I
We're
don't
getting a little
know.
like
I think it might. I think it
I
could.
don't know. I don't know. It depends, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
For a little bit extra, they give you a T-shirt.
Yeah, Martin. Yeah. Martin says you now do a VR vacation using a VR head. That's true. I've seen the pyramids. I've seen Angels Falls in Africa. I've been all over the world. I've been to Tokyo. I've been all over the world. Oh, you know what's a really good one in the VR in the Oculus?
But you
Go
don't.
see Notre Dame because
But
they
you-
take you all the way and it's
Yeah.
burnt out right now. Go see that is so cool.
But they
I've
don't.
seen Notre Dame.
But you don't feel like you've actually been there. You get a sense of what it would be like to stand there,
No, that's true.
but it's not.
But at like the wind,
no,
at the
VR is
top of
still not-
Angels Falls, the wind wasn't in my face.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I
VR
get
stuff. Some of the VR stuff is good. No question about it. But I
Phil.
don't-
Phil says, couldn't this whole film have taken place on the next gen holodeck? Well,
sure, but it didn't.
but it didn't. It does. There are a lot of variations in the film from the book. They say the second film, while not well received, not well liked, and not as good, was in fact closer to the book.
Yeah, it wasn't the same almost at all. I've seen both of them. I saw the more was it 2012, I think.
2012, yeah.
And I'm like, this has nothing in common really with the real one, with the real one, the original one.
Yeah.
So it wasn't yeah, no, I didn't find it very good. It wasn't like Judge Dredd and then Dredd. Different movies, but you know, the as we talked about, the Carl version was better. You know, I think it was more true, a little more gritty.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but this again, I think this movie was a product of its time to some degree. Action sci-fi was
The weird thing
very
is,
popular. Then you look when you look at, especially with Arnold, when you look at all the Arnold films he did,
yeah,
you know, most of them were science fiction based and action, pure action, just gunfights, car chases, you know, that kind of thing.
yeah. It's just odd that usually people, like, as we just discovered last week, talking about all of our books, people often like when the movie's closer to the book. This is one occasion when the movie really wasn't that close to the book, but people favor the Arnold version.
I never read the book, so I don't have that.
Actually, no, neither have I.
You know, but like when we're talking about Harry Potter, when I had read,
hey, Chris,
I had read The Sorcerer's Stone before the film came out. In fact, I think I was all caught up with all the books. And I was actually very impressed that they followed the book pretty closely with that film.
Yeah, they did.
Which, again, was not the norm. Usually there's a lot of stuff cut out. I always felt they did that with Jurassic Park. I think they missed the mark.
Yeah.
With Jurassic Park. In the book
I talked about this last week, where it is something that a book lovers have to accept. When a book gets turned into a movie, even if it's really, 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 really close to the book, there's still a ton of details that have to be left out. Otherwise, it's a 17-hour movie.
Right, it's too long.
Or they should just make a miniseries. If you need
I just felt with Jurassic Park, the one thing that they left out of the book would have made the movie so much better, and it would have made more sense.
Yeah,
but they left it out.
So. I hear you. I agree. I understand. I have a very distinct memory of talk about memories and how they are. I have a distinct memory of Jurassic Park and being like, "Oh my god!" Like, whoa.
Yes, that book. I was probably
away when you first.
We talked about this last week. Jurassic Park was probably the fastest I ever read a novel of that size. I mean, I read it in like 3 days, 3 or 4 days. It was just like could not put it down. Just read, and I like the film, but there was that time element that was in the book that they didn't put in the
They did use
movie.
the movie.
And
Yeah.
I was like, to me, that was the whole, oh my God, are they going to make it? That was why you kept reading it. So anyway, but what are you going to do?
Phil says the best Arnold films are the ones where he doesn't talk a lot. He got better.
Well, yeah, he got better. I mean, you cannot.
I mean,
He's
back
never
in the
going to
Conan
be.
years,
He's not. Shakespearean trained. Like Patrick Stewart.
no, his elocution isn't there, but he takes his acting seriously.
He got better, like you said. When he started out with in Terminator, he didn't have a lot of lines.
Maybe it's a tumor. It's not.
Maybe it's not a tumor. I know that was like the only thing I remember from that movie. I don't remember it being.
Me neither. Me too. Yeah. Chris LaRoche, I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. I'll actually see you tomorrow. Probably.
Are you coming up? I thought I saw something. Are you coming up, Chris?
He posted he needs a ride to the airport. I think Kent's gonna get him, and then we need to bring him back. All right.
What airport is he going to from? Anyway, we'll figure that out. We digress.
Let me look at my notes. I think we hit the highlights here, kids.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun movie. I mean, my assessment of it, I liked it when I saw it originally. I've seen it many times on VHS, DVD, whatever.
Oh, I know what I wanted to say.
And it's a good action, entertaining film. It's a good popcorn film.
It's a great popcorn film. The one thing I am going to end on, and it's a great popcorn film. Suspend any and all disbelief, particularly if you have a scientific mind.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The science in this movie, there is no science in this movie. There's no science in this movie. The entire ending is pure fiction.
Oh, absolutely.
Pure fiction. It don't work like that, kids. Even if you somehow survive asphyxiation on the surface of Mars, you still the blood vessels have all popped.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think that's how. If you're exposed to pure,
that's not how you die. Yeah.
Vacuum, that's
also. I noticed it was convenient.
I'm sure glad Doc is in here because he could explain, whatever. But I think one of the best decompression deaths is still from Outland. When the guy went down the elevator and you'd see their face go and it blow up. Even though that wasn't probably accurate at all, it was still the best.
I remember that, yeah.
I think pretty much usually you just freeze and it's, assuming you're in vacuum, space. And yeah,
we should ask Doc.
It was probably closer to reality was like when you went from, I hate to say it, but is Guardians of the Galaxy, when they're spacing people and they kind of just froze slowly. Or even, they did do it on
The Expanse. You know what?
The Expanse. I was going to say The Expanse had it pretty accurate. That's what I think happens.
Was that
a lot of your blood vessels will burst because of that? Your blood boils.
Was it Love, Death and Robots?
All the gas,
yes,
in your blood turns into back. All the oxygen, whatever, turns back into a gas, and you just bubble, and then you just die.
They would say, nobody blows up in a vacuum.
No, but it was a cool effect.
We'll have Doc on to explain the gritty details of death in space. I, for one.
Yeah, we're going to try to actually, after Artemis is done or when he has time, either we're going to come back and talk.
This Artemis needs to land safely, and the next two Artemis are going to have actual people aboard, so he's going to get even busier. So
yeah, he do our best for an hour, I'm sure, between missions.
We will do our best. Do you guys remember? Was it Love, Death, and Robots? It's called A Helping Hand. I think it was Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah, where she actually used her.
She used her own hand. Yeah,
she had to cut her own hand off. Yeah. Yeah, that was good. That's the course.
All right, moving on. Coming up.
Well, it's 8:00. So let's. What does Phil have coming up? Because you always start with I say Roy.
Phil and Roy, and the weird thing is, I always write Roy first. Okay, whatever.
I know, but I always say, what's Roy gonna come on? Phil has.
I do. I don't know why. I just do. Phil is gonna air tomorrow. He will air his Candace Knight interview at 3 p.m. and then part 2 of the Evership interview. So if you guys are prog rock fans, Candace Knight, guys, is from Blackmore Night. Blackmore's Night is an awesome band. Their music is so cool. Their music is like if you want to rock out at 5, but you got to be at the Renaissance Fair for 6. That's Blackmore's Night. It's awesome. He will not be on Friday night. And then next week, He's filling in for Chris Laporta on Thanksgiving from 8 to 10. So Thanksgiving evening, tune in to Phil. Roy has Doctor Who, that Doctor Who episode. It's City of the Dead. It's a Tom Baker. He's one of my favorites. 1979 episode, I believe. Oh, and Phil will also be airing an interview with a composer named Amanda Falkenberg. She just did this huge symphony where every piece is named after one of the moons in the solar system. So like Ganymede, Io, Europa, Callista Flockhart. I don't remember them all. Whatever. Anyway, that'll be coming up for Phil too. Roy's doing Doctor Who. And Rizzo, what do we have coming up?
We're doing We'll Watch So You Don't Have To.
We watched it so you don't have to.
So if you have a film or TV show, preferably a film, since I can't watch a whole season of something, that you might want to watch, that you're curious to think it might not be any good, throw us a message and we'll see. Maybe we'll do it.
Yeah, tell us.
We have a few stinkers that we have already seen that
I'm going to tell you stinkers that I've already seen, and as always, we welcome guests so that you can tell us your stinkers that you've already.
That will be the night before Thanksgiving.
That'll be the night before Thanksgiving. We should have fun. We should have a laugh, guys.
Please come and post what you're thankful for.
And
you
come
can say Sci-Fi Distilled. That's okay.
Oh, speaking of being thankful for Sci-Fi Distilled. 20% off.
20% off this week, till Sunday, I think. Yeah.
Until Sunday.
I didn't. I was gonna post it, but I feel like I'm like bugging.
I know we keep hammering it, but that's okay.
I don't want to.
Christmas is coming, and you either want our little gray alien, or you want our brand new design by Jeff Rubel that shows all the different ships landing at the distillery to have a drink. I guess there it is. And you can play the same game that I played with my family. What the heck are all these ships? I actually don't.
It's awesome. I have a T-shirt that I had this on the back, and the older logo, if you will, on the front, with you can customize around that. So it's pretty neat. So anyway, 20% off.
Yeah,
now's a good time. It does help.
Christmas present, guys.
Yeah. Go.
Never too early for Christmas.
On that note, anything else?
That's it. If you're coming up,
we'll see you.
Travel safe.
I hope we see everybody.
And we will see you all there.
See you, and if we don't see you next week, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, have a great Thanksgiving.
All right. Well, good night, folks. Go watch Andor if you haven't. I assume we got another episode.
Go watch Andor. Another one drops.
Another one drops tonight, and I'm gonna watch one of these days.
Go watch your music.
My film, which is on Blu-ray, Phil, which is its own format. PAL is standard definition from Europe. They don't use it anymore. Anyway, live long and prosper, folks. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye, guys.